I used to think that discover myself would be this one day wake up and I have the clarity of who I am, who I'm meant to be, and how my life is supposed to be planned out. I really thought that that day was going to come. And I patiently waited, not knowing that every day, every cycle, every version of myself I learn is discovering myself. That is a forever process, and it's not a one day wake up and you're everything that you ever wanted to be. It's having to put your best foot forward and dedication into yourself in order to continuously discover who you are. We're going to talk about it in this video. We're going to get into it, y'all. Before we get into it, make sure you like and subscribe and support the channel like always. And thank you for being here and sitting with me in this moment. And also, I am going to be looking at my phone because I have my notes on here. So let's get into it. The first thing I want to get into is what is self-discovery? And I wanted to make a definition that wasn't Google formatted or just online formatted. I'm giving my personal definition of what I believe self-discovery is. And for me, it's a continuous journey of finding oneself. It's almost like how we say with healing. Healing is a forever journey. It's not a goal. It's just a journey that you travel on. It's almost like a venture that you continue to put yourself in. And I feel like self-discovery is the same way. They kind of intertwine together. It's like the more you heal, the more you discover yourself. This definition I have was not something that I used to have. I thought self-discovery was more like a external thing where, you know how people say like, oh, the older you get, the more your outfits would change or how you dress or even your appearance. Like I just always assumed self-discovery was an external change. So I thought like, obviously I don't look like how I looked as a child. And so I believe that was a form of self-discovery, which to an extent it is. It's more of self-development than it is self-discovery, because even in those versions of myself that I was becoming, I didn't really know who they were. And I wasn't, until I started my healing journey, I wasn't in the mindset to find out who they were and discover who this version of myself was meant to do for me in this time of my life. Being with this new definition of what I believe self-discovery is, I realized that while you're discovering the new versions of yourself and who is to come, you're also rediscovering who you were in order to understand who you are at the moment. Because I do believe that our past can affect us, especially when it comes to self-discovery, when we are not willing to face what caused us to be who we are now. And so I feel like that's where you get the inner child work. That's where you get, in therapy, you talk about your past, your childhood and your experiences, even your teenager stages. It's like you go through previous stages of who you were in order to find out who you are at the moment. And then when you find out who you are at the moment, it helps you wanting to discover who you want to be. It's like you give yourself the option of choosing. I feel like my personality was always told to me. Like a lot of personal habits I had, or personal traits that I had, I feel like they were told to me that, oh, you're like this, you're like that. And since I didn't have I didn't have a backbone to myself, I believed them. And so I developed myself around those beliefs. People were telling me that I was who I was in their eyes. And I realized that version of myself wasn't who I actually wanted to be, or even who I was, when I obviously started getting into therapy and I started talking about like who I was. And my therapist started asking me, well, did you tell yourself that, or did someone tell you that? And I realized a lot of the stuff I believed who I was told and was forced upon me to be. And it was like this weird like twilight zone, because it was like I was seeing who people wanted me to be, and then I was also seeing a version of myself who I actually was at that time. And they were so different. And I feel like I knew that I was self-discovering myself when I was becoming the version of myself before people told me who I was. I don't know if anybody else can relate, but a lot of my childhood I don't remember. I'm now remembering it, and like honestly being surprised of how much I force myself subconsciously to forget, out of trauma or out of just survival. But I also realized I think forgot a lot of my childhood because I wasn't being who I was. I think it's because I was masking so much that I wasn't even really allowing myself to be conscious and aware of where I was in those moments, because I didn't even like who I was in those moments. It was like a very weird dissociation type of like, whoa, like a That's So Raven, where it's like, oh, this is interesting. It's like starting with a blank canvas, but it's one of those things where you have a painting and then you paint over whatever you painted to start a new one, because it's not like it's a fully fresh canvas. It's just that when you paint over what no longer looks good anymore, let's say you don't like the painting anymore, it's sometimes still there, but you're choosing to make something new. I don't think self-discovery is a form of you forget who you used to be, and it's just kind of one of those things where you are aware of it and you accept it, and sometimes those moments help you define who you are, and also makes you more beautiful, and it makes you more unique and different because only you have those moments, nobody else. And sometimes discovering yourself looks like being okay with sitting in silence and being okay to notice what really matters to you, what really makes you feel like you. Is self-discovery is a lot of quiet moments, a lot of silent moments with yourself, and that could be physically or emotionally or spiritually, where sometimes when I do really heavy energy work or healing work, my mind is quiet, my body is silent, like I'm here, I'm present, but it's like so much is being processed that it just goes quiet. And those are really the important moments, because you're digesting what you have let go, what you have discovered, and also what you had to remove. So it's a very interesting transition in that part. When you start self-discovering yourself, the external world will start helping you to guide you in that discovery, whether it's through experiences, whether it's through channeling, whether it's through people. It's different ways the creator will show up for you, especially when you're doing it for your highest good. And I feel like that was happening a lot, where I was just kind of just in this like continuous flow of like, oh, I found this out about me, and then I would have an experience that would either force me to stay in that version of myself that was for my highest good, or go into experience that wanted me to go deeper into what I just discovered. There is a few points that I just want to give before ending this video. And the first point is mainly towards a journal prompt. And so the first one is, who am I without my roles? Who am I without these identities that were put onto me or put on myself? And then the next question is, when do I feel the most like myself? And then another tip that I would give is just a daily practice, and that could just be sitting with yourself, focusing on your breath, just really becoming present, focusing around your environment, what's going on, noticing any patterns within yourself or even the environment. Another thing is give yourself permission. Remind yourself that it will not look perfect and it will not be linear, and it will be a forever journey in self-discovery. And so allow yourself to go through those moments, those hurdles, those uplifting and downliftings. Allow yourself to go through it, because that's what makes your journey so unique. Because who wants perfection? Self-discovery isn't a destination. It is a lifelong relationship with yourself, and you deserve to be in a wonderful, healthy, and committed relationship with yourself for your highest good. And yeah, I'd love to know what has self-discovery been for you, and how that's been looking like for you, and maybe some tips or tricks that you learned within your self-discovery journey. And yeah, make sure to comment or share this video if you know somebody else may need this reminder or this video. And yeah, there's definitely gonna be more spiritual chats coming up for this week and weeks coming ahead. Also, I have many previous chit chat videos that I have already posted, which I will link here so you can check those out. And yeah, Thank you for being here and listening to me, and love and peace, y'all. See you in my next video.